Hey guys, today we're going to take a look at another Puppeteer video. This time we're going to look at PDF generation. It's one of another great uses of Puppeteer, and I think it does a really great job at it. So we're just going to make a quick template, handlebars template that we're going to compile and just generate a PDF out of that. So we're going to need Puppeteer, so const Puppeteer equals require Puppeteer. I hate that word. It's kind of hard to spell. Okay, and we're going to be reading templates from the file system, so we're also going to need FS, and of course, we love our FS extra since we love our async await code. So let's hop over to terminal and get those two real quick. So npm I Puppeteer and npm I FS extra. Let's start our code like we always do with an async function. Boom, 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 try catch console.log our error E. Okay, cool. So this is actually pretty simple, but basically we're going to launch a new browser with Puppeteer and we're going to render it to PDF. So await, well, let's say const browser equals await puppeteer.launch. And then const page equals await browser.page. So we're going to make a new page. So now we have a browser, we got a page. So now we're actually going to do, now we have to set up the page to be PDFable. So we're going to say await page.setContent to some kind of HTML content. Let's just do an h1 hello for a minute /h1. Don't worry, this will get more complex in a second. And then we have to tell it to emulate a media of the screen so that it doesn't try to emulate like a print style sheet, for example. So we're going to say page.emulate media, and we're going to say screen. And then we just use the PDF function. So await page.pdf, and then we pass it some options that we want. And so in our case, we want the path where we're going to save it. So we're going to call it my pdf.pdf. Whatever. And then a format. We like the A4 format. You can visit Puppeteer's docs to see all the different types of formats, but we want a single 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper. And then we're going to say print background true. Now, when you print with a PDF, sometimes it doesn't print the background. More often than not, you do want the background. So that's kind of the default options you have here. Yeah, and then I say console.log done. Cool. And then when it's done, we're going to say await browser.close, and then yeah, let's just do process.exit and close the whole shebang. And there you go. Let's run it. Shift Command F5. Browser.page is not a function. Well, it should be. Let's see. Did I spell Puppeteer right? I did spell Puppeteer right. This is not browser.page. It's supposed to be browser.newPage. Let's run that again. Done. Cool. And then let's go to our file system. And there's the PDF. And obviously it's a PDF, so you can't see it like that. But let's pull this up. PDF generation. My PDF. There we go. There's a PDF with hello. All right. We could stop here and you're done. But let's add a bit more of a complex case here. I have this database.json file that I made for some information. It's the shot list for my dog. So we're going to make a PDF out of that a vet might have. So because of that, we're going to, let's pull in that. So it's a JSON file. So we can sort of just say, we can say const data equals require ./database.json. So we're just going to bring in that data. Cool. And then we're going to render a template. So let's make a new folder in here called templates. And then in the templates folder, let's make a new file and call it, what do we want to call it? I don't know. We're going to do it's a shot list. So let's just call it shot list.hbs, the HBS file. Okay. And then, cool. So let's make a compile function. Well, okay, let's back up. well, let's go ahead and write this template. And I'm not going to write this whole thing. I'm just going to paste it in because you don't need to watch me write a template. Basically, it's got some style tags, HTML body, it's vaccine information, and then I'm using handlebars to use whatever variables are available. And I'll show you how to get the variables here in a second. But obviously they're objects, so I'm able to just use stuff like that. Yeah, I've got loops. This is just standard handlebar syntax. And then you can also see that I have a date format helper that formats this thing into a moment date range. Okay, so we've got a couple things going on here in that shot list. So let's make a compile function real quick. We're going to be using handlebars, like I said. So const HBS equals require handlebars, like that. And if we're going to be doing that, we actually need to install handlebars. So let's npm I handlebars. Let's go ahead and grab that. And I'm going to grab the path utility, which is built into Node. It's going to help with some pathing in a second. You'll see. So let's go ahead and write our compile function. Const compile equals async function. We're going to give it a template name, and we're going to give it some data that will compile into it. Okay, like that. So for handlebars, we're going to just return handlebars.compile is the function, and then it takes the HTML, and then it returns a function that then takes the data. Okay, that's how that works. So HBS.compile, you pass it some HTML, and then you give it the data, and that's the data that is given to the template that I just showed you. So in our case, we're actually going to bring in the file itself. So file path here, we're going to path.join our current working directory to get our templates, and then the template name. So again, we're going to be passing the template name into this function. In our case, it'll be the shot list, and I just want to default it to look into that directory all the time. I'm trying to make this a bit more universal. And then to get the contents, we just want to say const HTML equals await fs.read file, and then we want the file path to just read. So we're just going to read the file in, and we're going to read it as UTF-8, so it's not a buffer. So UTF-8. So we've read the file contents in. That's the HTML. That goes into handlebars compile. There you go. I just mentioned that we have a helper that we added. What this helper does, we need moment. I'll install it in a second. You use register helper, the name of the helper. It takes a value, and in our case, format, which is space separated parameters. If you look back at the shot list, space separated parameters. And then, yeah, it's formatted. I don't need a log here. And it just returns what we want to do to it. So in our case, we want to just moment format it. So const moment equals require moment. And we need to add that npm I moment. So that's the compile function. This is the helper that we need in the template so that we can do some cool stuff with it. And then we just need to use this. So instead of hello, here, we're going to call this content, and we're going to just say const content equals compile. And again, we need the template name. So this is shot list. And then we want to take the data, which was this data that we had from the database JSON. So we're going to pass it the data like that. So content is that, set content. There you go. Yep, that's it. We did it. So let's run it. So F5 running, done. Let's go back here, and we'll call it mypdf.pdf. And it says object, so obviously it did not work. So let's confirm that our data is working. So let's see what this data is before we run it in. So console.log data, and let's run our thing again. This gives an object ID and shot. So that's the correct data. That's good. Let's see. Are we loading templates/shot list.hbs? That's correct. Read file. Let's log console.log HTML. Let's see if we're getting the right HTML here. Looks like that's the right HTML, so we're good on that. So let's get rid of that. So it looks like our compile function is fine. Console.log content. Let's see what our compiled content looks like. It's a promise because it's an async function and I need to await. That's probably my issue. Let's run it again. Done. And let's look at the PDF. And there you go. That's my PDF rendered. You can see the name of the dog, you can see her color, and you can see all the different shots. This is that each loop that we had run through. So this is a bit of a more complex example of the same thing, where we just have a compile function that looks into a folder with helpers registered into it so you can do cool stuff. And again, we're just using Puppeteer to put it all together to print out the PDF. It works pretty well.